Hogan is so badass that he can single-handedly save his country from all the enemies, wrestle 400 days a year, and play bass in the biggest metal band on the planet. Of course, upon receiving an invitation from his best friend, Lars Ulrich. Or not.
Do you want heavy?
Yeah!
Metallica gives you heavy, baby!
By now, pretty much everyone has heard how one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Hulk Hogan, auditioned to become Metallica's bass player upon Jason Newsted's departure in 2001.
Metallica, I could be in Metallica.
Yet actually, that story started many years before that. Before Hulk became a pro wrestler, he used to play bass in a couple of bands. And this indeed is 100% true. Like here, for example, is Terry Bollea with his rock band Ruckus before he became Hulk Hogan. In fact, it was because of a gig he had with Ruckus that he has become a professional wrestler after being noticed by his idol Jack Briscoe at one of the shows in Florida.
You wanna be in my game, my game, my game. Wanna be in my game.
Oh yeah!
But anyways, it was back then when Hulk was good friends with nobody else but Lars Ulrich, who asked him to join the early incarnation of Metallica. I used to be a session musician before I was a wrestler. I played bass guitar. I was big pals with Lars Ulrich, and he asked me if I wanted to play bass with Metallica in their early days, but it didn't work out, said Hulk Hogan in a 2012 interview with The Sun. A story which Lars Ulrich had no idea of at all. Hulk started his wrestling career in 1977, so 4 years before the formation of Metallica, when Lars Ulrich, who by the way lived a couple of thousands of miles away from Florida, was only 14 years old. So I kinda hope they weren't big pals back then.
Well, but we'll talk about those a bit later on.
But anyways, given of course that story has made quite a lot of fuss within the Metallica family back in 2012, it is pretty understandable that around 3 months after the Incredible Hulk's revelation, Lars Ulrich gave his version of the story, which was just a tiny little bit different from the one told by the wrestler. You know what, I'm blessed or cursed, depending on how you look at it, with having more or less a photographic memory for pretty much anything that I've been a part of. That one, when that showed up 2 or 3 months ago, I was scratching my head over that one. Unless he went by, like, his Christian name or something, and I don't know if anybody knows what his Christian name was. Dave Smith or something, if there was a whole thing that we had with him under a different name, but I certainly have no recollection of doing anything with Hulk Hogan. So here you go, all you unbelievers. It is absolutely clear that Lars simply forgot that Hulk's real name was not Dave Smith, but Terry Bollea, and that's why he couldn't remember his teenage years BFF.
When the going gets tough, the tough get rough. Hey, hey, ho, ho, come on, let's go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, come on, let's go.
Since then, most people kind of forgot about that story until in 2014 Hulk Hogan finally spoke about it again. And so this time around, the fans heard the story, which actually indeed makes quite a lot of sense, and the one which of course most of the people know of. In 2001, when Jason Newsted left the band,
He f***ing left the band!
Metallica held the infamous auditions for a new bass player, receiving applications from all over the world, and so when hearing about those, Hulk simply could not resist to try out for the biggest heavy metal band on the planet.
Metallica needed a bass player, and I, oh my God, would I love to be in Metallica? So I put the word out everywhere. I wanted to get an audition to be in Metallica.
Only to his disappointment to never actually hear back from the band.
Did an audition tape, put a tape together, sent it to the band, never heard a word from them. Never heard a word. Never heard from them either.
Why?
Weirdly enough though, it looks like those tapes actually never made it to Metallica's headquarters, as when asked about it 3 years later, James Hetfield seemed pretty sure he never saw the famous wrestler playing bass in his life.
I don't know his version of history. I don't remember him. He was in the band for a minute?
No, but he tried to be in the band.
I think he's saying that he was in the auditions when you were looking.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Definitely not.
But anyways, we are here not to judge whether it was true or not, but instead just to say that I personally think that it would be absolutely amazing if Hulk actually would have joined Metallica. Just think about it. First of all, on some of the releases you can't really hear the bass, so it doesn't really matter who played there. But having a wrestler in the band actually could have come quite handy. First of all, Metallica wouldn't mind having a buff fighter in its team, finally tapping into the realms of the genre they were once considered a part of, and stealing over some of the Manowar fans. Secondly, Hulk would definitely challenge James Hetfield with his skating skills, and last but not least, given the band's concert history, they could have used someone who would be a bit more persuasive. And if Hulk Hogan was actually in Metallica back in the day, I'm pretty sure he would actually have convinced Guns N' Roses to finish their set.
He could have been the hero of the day, We continue the show and, the band plays on and we're here to bring music and he throws his fit.
But anyways, while I'm pretty sure that no one actually believes that Hulk Hogan and Lars Ulrich were friends back in the 70s, and while I don't really care whether Hulk actually sent those tapes back in 2001, but I just have to come out and say straight to your face that I just love all those little lies from Hulk. Whether it is about being friends with Lars Ulrich or about him doing 400 wrestling matches a year, as all of those are done in a very spirit of wrestling. A sport with a predetermined outcome, which he indeed seems to be the personification of himself. I mean, honestly, it looks like he just lives this, even though his career ended several years ago and it's 2023 and no one actually believes in those things. But I guess it is just a part of that whole image which came out from the 80s. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about this popular tale? Please let us know in the comments. And as always, I just wanted to thank you guys all for all the support you're showing to me, this show, and Ukraine through this very, very difficult time. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!